Welcome back, and today I'm just doing another 1,000-mile update. We're approaching 3,000. I'll hit that mark on the way back today. Route's finished, and still going rather strong. This machine still continues to give about somewhere between like 160, 170, depending upon my routes. If it's all highway, I'm much closer to 150. No change in range, more or less. Temperature's still maintaining somewhere between, it's Pennsylvania, so somewhere between like 50 and 90. Temperature vastly changes on a daily basis. This particular update, just going to discuss again more real-world range experiences, the charging setup that I utilize for this machine, how I drive it, have I had the charge in the field, how inconvenient has it been or not. So here we go. All right, so more or less, I have had the charge, I think, since the last video once in the field. Charged up in Harrisburg at the Hyundai station, added about 30 miles of range. I had an exceptionally long driving day. My total round trip on that was about 210 or so. So I had the charge. I charged 30 miles, about 30 miles of range at the Hyundai in Harrisburg. And I should have charged more, because as you know, based on my averages, when I'm getting about 170 in range, if you had 30, you get 200. If the round trip is 205, you're going to be in the red. And sure enough, I was certainly in the red. So I had another day where I was driving back to my house from the shop on 0 miles of range, and I drove about 7 miles on 0. And now I drove hyper conservatively. I avoided the highway because this machine maximizes range and efficiency off the highway. I kept the power gauge between 0 and 10%, because the higher the energy output, the shorter the range you're going to get. If you can maintain a lower energy output even at a lower speed, proportionally speaking, it generally works out in your favor with range. So I got over 4 miles per kilowatt hour on the way home, whereas if I took the highway, I typically get about 2.2 to 2.4 for that transit from the shop to my house. So you can really squeeze efficiency out of this, but I had to drive like a turtle, and I'm sure the people behind me weren't too thrilled about that. But again, it's better than getting stranded. So always, when you're charging in the field, always charge 10 to 15 miles of buffer space. Don't be like me and undercharge and then have to deal with the situation where you might have to call for a tow. Hasn't happened yet, but I came pretty darn close that time. I've stumbled upon a couple of features with this machine that I didn't know it had. So in watching videos of like other EVs that are not the E-Transit, like actual cars like the Ioniq 5, EV6, on their rear view camera, when you're driving in reverse, you can actually disable the parking sensors. You can zoom in, so it's got a zoom in camera feature, and you have an alternative view where it'll piece camera images together to give you a more surround rear view, which I might be able to show during this video. I'm not sure. It just depends on how long it takes me to get to where I'm going to put the machine in reverse. But I thought that was rather interesting for an E-Transit to have a feature like that. I figured it was just going to be a standard backup cam, run-of-the-mill stuff. But no, it's again, this thing's got some what I would consider luxury features for a vehicle of this class. I also figured out that you can turn on and off the lane assist. And I realized why I turned off the first time, because when you change the blinker, on the end of the blinker there's a little button there. And that's actually your lane assist on-off toggle. So press to turn on, okay, press to turn off. So I must have mistakenly turned that off way early on, which is kind of funny. One thing I noticed as well with the lane assist, you have to kind of clean the cameras underneath on the front of the vehicle, number one, and underneath each of the mirrors, because after it rains, you get water spots on there, which clouds the camera's vision until such time those are gone. The lane assist doesn't work very well. Not that I really think anybody in the service industry is going to utilize the lane assist. That's kind of more like a residential driver thing. And again, alluding back to like the first time I talked about that, it's kind of rather annoying to like go around a turn and the van auto steers for you, and like no matter which way you turn the wheel, you can't un-auto steer it. So I'm just leaving it off. It's more of a nuisance than anything else. Again, you know, but cool feature to have. Kind of a high-end feature for a utility vehicle. So that's nice. I still haven't explored or even found any information regarding what these buttons here do. I mean, of course, there's pictures there. Like, one of them is likely to do with the drive mode. One of them is obviously to do with defrosting. One of them looks like a camera. So this thing, I don't know if it has like a sentry mode type thing, but I'm gonna figure it out. I don't really spend that much time exploring the vehicle. In the last video I did, I figured out how to lower the spare tire. That was a journey to figure that out too. Literally no literature on that. They give you the Transit 350 standard gasoline owner's manual with this, and there's some cross-referencing for like features that carry over from this vehicle to that, but not really a lot. This thing's got a lot of differences. The dash looks the same. That's really about it. So yeah, back to real-world ranges. My efficiency's been pretty good. I've been maintaining about the same payload. I haven't increased or decreased anything. Haven't put my partition or my shelves in here yet, so I'm still at about 250 pounds or so of additional equipment that's going to go in here, which will affect range more. I do think this is a great vehicle for the owner-operator journeyman, or like a lead technician that gets to take their vehicle home for like a plumbing, heating, appliance, computer technician, something like that. And any skilled laborer that's got to make, you know, 5 to 6 stops per day. I got to use the Pro Power onboard for the first time. One of my tools broke. It's more like an electrical tool. So what they call it, like a Haas jig or whatever. It's proprietary for my industry, but one of the wires broke off the PCB that goes to like the USB-C connection, so I had to cut it apart. I had to resolder it, so I plugged the soldering iron into the Pro Power onboard. It works well. That is kind of a neat feature to have. I'm going to start carrying my drill chargers in here because, you know, why not charge as I drive? The vehicle does have to be turned on for the Pro Power onboard to work. But again, that's just an overall neat feature to have. It doesn't come in handy all the time, but when it does come in handy, it's rather nice. In my next video about this, I'm not going to do, well, I'll probably do like the 5,000 mile update. We're going to skip 4,000 because that's a little bit repetitive. I'm going to do the financial viability of this vehicle purchase. I'm going to break down the numbers, you know, what it costs to install like level 2 charging at my house, cost of the vehicle brand new, fuel savings, monthly payment, etc. This way we can do a cost analysis so you can see if you did something equivalent, like, you know, trade your previous service vehicle in for this, if this would be a financially viable option for you. It of course becomes more and more financially viable the higher the cost of fuel gets, and where I'm at, it's over $5 a gallon now, which is freaking fantastic. You know, this is my only electric vehicle, so my beater car, more or less, still takes fuel, and it's costing an arm and a leg every week to fill that thing up just for my wife to drive to work. But yeah, so I'm gonna pull off around here up here, and I'll show you the backup camera, what the different views look like. Just gotta wait for a spot to not be in anybody's way. And the current numbers here, so I've gained 1 mile per hour of average travel time. The 2 numbers on the right I keep as lifetime numbers. 2 numbers on the left I reset every day. I forgot to reset the trip and odometer timer until I realized I was on the highway, so I drove about 5 miles where it doesn't show. So I drove about 152 so far. About 15 miles remaining of range, so I'll get about 170 in this with this charge. Alright, so here we go. This is a fine spot to turn. It's a really low traffic area anyway, so this will be fine. Alright. So I always drive in L mode now too to maximize regenerative braking so I get the maximum range possible. So going into reverse, you get your backup camera. You can actually go through the toggle options here. Like I never touch any of this stuff for some reason until like yesterday. So you can zoom in by pressing the plus sign here on the left. Gives you a little bit of a better view. Kind of pixelated, but okay. You can change views. You can do so. You have 360 view here on the right. You can do just a standard back view, full screen. You can do a view where it bridges all the views together. This way you can just avoid hitting anything that's in your path. And you can also turn off the parking sensor, which I'm not sure why you would. It's actually really good to have a parallel parking. I still prefer the overhead view and just the standard backup camera view. The mirrors in here are going to do you the most justice overall. Don't rely exclusively on the backup camera for moving this vehicle. It's just like anything else. It's a tool. It's not a crutch. So don't rely exclusively on that. It's not going to show you everything. But that's going to be it for today. Again, next time we're going to do the financial overview. I'll have an Excel spreadsheet up. We'll do the calculations. And we'll see how financially viable this is for people of similar trades. Until next time.